Because you know it's better to look good than to feel good. Fernando Lamas. I got a headache. Ugh, I gotta take some aspirin. Un poco loco. Hey everybody, and welcome back to Books Yada Yada. I'm Dina, and thank you so much for watching my channel. I've got to tell you something right now. I already did this in my last video. I talked about the McLaughlin group, but that's why I do it. That's why I aggressively say it, and I just can't help saying, watch my channel. So I'm going to clip down below that SNL skit just so you guys understand why. And I'm going to tell you a little short story really quick before I get into what I'm going to do today. And that is that I grew up on SNL, you guys. I grew up on, back then we used to call it Saturday Night Live, right? Now it's SNL. My parents, this is so funny. My parents, I think about it now and it's funny, right? My parents used to have SNL parties, Saturday Night Live parties. Basically what it was their whole group of friends. Every Saturday they would switch houses. So we'd go to somebody's house or people would come over and watch an SNL or blah, 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 yada, 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 right? And they'd basically stay up and let us, all the kids, stay up late and, drink and have their cocktails. And they didn't care what we were doing because those are the times back in the 80s, late 70s, 80s, where you let your kids roam free and you didn't worry too much. But I was one of those weird kids because I'd always want to hang out with the parents. Yeah, I was that kid. While the other kids were outside like catching fireflies and stuff like that, I was the one that was like hanging out with the parents. I was the one lurking around the corner, kind of, right? Because I wanted to see what they were doing. I don't know. I was just more interested in the older people than I was with the other kids. I've always been that kid, awkward, weird, socially, inept, and I preferred the adult entertainment over playing with the kids. So that was me. Yeah, and that probably tells you a lot about my personality. I'm going to do a small booktuber tag at one point, but, I feel like, why bother? Because you guys already know what my personality's like and what I like to talk about and all that jazz. Anyway, so let's get to the content today. And what that is what am I watching, right? So we talk about books all the time, and I figured that I would talk about some of the TV shows that we've been watching on Netflix. So when it starts to get a little chilly and we're not outside as much, then we're watching TV, right? So I'm either reading or watching TV. Oh God, I have no life. I'm retired, you guys, by the way. I am retired. So yeah. So that's what I do. I'm semi-retired. So I do other things, right? But I do love to watch TV. And my husband and I, we both love to watch TV, so we've got that in common. So I've compiled a list for you guys of shows that my husband and I have been watching as of late. Because, that queue on Netflix gets so long. It's like a mile long, right? So I'm just going to go over some of the shows, and I'm going to break it down into categories. So comedies, we'll start with that first. And the first one is Afterlife with Ricky Gervais, right? So that's everybody knows who Ricky Gervais is from the British Office and many other things. And it's about a widower who's just trying to move on with his life. It's kind of a dark comedy, but he does such a great job in it. He has such an amazing range as an actor and a comedian. But Afterlife is just really, it's kind of sad, but it's very funny in the same way that, is typical Ricky Gervais. So I'm not going to get into it too much, but that's one of the shows. The second one is Norseman. Oh my God, you guys, this one is hilarious. This is like, I don't even know how to, when we went in to watch it, our daughter recommended it to us. And she's like, you guys got to watch this. You just got to watch this. It's hilarious, right? Because I love all things Scandinavian. And I actually studied in college. I did study Scandinavian film and television. And so I love anything Scandinavian, film, TV, you name it. But this is like totally not that at all. It's basically about these inept Vikings. Some of them are inept, some of them are not. And but it has a very modern feel to it. It's almost like if you took these Norsemen and placed them into politically correct 2020, how they would interact with each other, how different issues would be handled, how they would live their lives as Norsemen, pillaging and doing everything that Vikings did. So it is hilarious. If you haven't seen it yet, I would highly suggest it. It's not everybody's cup of tea. But it's definitely ours. We're very easily amused. Second one is a show called Man Down. Okay, this is a British sitcom, or situation comedy, I guess you could call it, with a comedian named Greg Davies. I think it's Davies. It's either Davies or Davis. I don't know. In the show, his name is Mr. Davis, but I think it's Greg Davies. And he is hilarious. We got hooked on this show because we were watching another show with Greg Davies called Cuckoo. You guys know Cuckoo? Cuckoo was hilarious. First season had Andy Samberg, second season had Taylor Lautner, and I think the third season too. But that's a hilarious show. And then we started watching some of Greg Davies' stand-up, and we just love him. He's a giant, literally. This guy is like 6'7". He's enormous. I mean, he's just he's huge. And I love big people who are funny because I'm a rather long person. My father was like 6'4". And he was built like a Viking, right? And he was a big dude. He was Scandinavian. And, so I think it's hilarious when really large people who, like myself, are not extremely coordinated, do kind of physical comedy. And Greg Davies does a lot of physical comedy. And so in this show, Man Down, it's actually loosely based on his real life, which, if you get a chance to ever watch one of his comedy specials, you'll know all about it because he talks about it in great length. And he was a teacher. He was a drama teacher for a really long time before he started in showbiz. And so this show is loosely based around his life and his family and his friends, and it is hilarious. If you think you are ever having a bad day, watch Man Down, because it will just make you literally laugh out loud. I mean, I've been to the point watching the show where I feel like I'm going to bust a gut. Really, a gut? We only have one gut, so I feel like I was going to bust my gut. Anyway, so so Cuckoo, Man Down, any of the Greg Davies specials. I don't know how many there are on Netflix, but highly suggest it because he is hilarious. Okay, so getting out of the comedy section from Netflix, we're going to go over drama. And we've been watching a show called Cursed. I believe where it's going is that it's sort of the backstory of The Lady in the Lake. You have Merlin, one of the Skarsgård brothers, plays Merlin, and he was also in Vikings. That one, that Skarsgård. They're everywhere, these Skarsgårds. There's the Bill, there's the Alexander, there's the Stellan, there's the, God, why can't I remember this one, Merlin one? Well, anyway, I'm sorry. I think it's Olaf. No, Gustav. Is it Gustav? I don't know. Anyway, he's a Skarsgård, and they're all so fantastic, right? I mean, who doesn't love a Skarsgård? I'm going to stop saying that. But anyway, so this show, Cursed, is about, again, this young girl who's of the Fae, and she attains the sword that we all know as Excalibur. They haven't called it that yet. I don't know where it's going, but it is based on some graphic novels by Frank Miller. So he is responsible for so many different things. He's a graphic novel writer or comic book writer, but he is behind Cursed. So I would highly suggest this if you like anything Arthurian. It's probably not for purists, but it's just a really good story, and I love the way they do the graphics, um, and they stylize it. It's very similar to 300 and what's the other one there? Like Sin City. It has that feel. Another one is Ozark, of course, right? I mean, who doesn't love Jason Bateman, right? I mean, come on. Arrested Development is one of my favorite TV shows ever. Um, and I loved him when I was a kid. I had posters of Jason Bateman. I did on my walls, but I also had posters of Peter Murphy from Bauhaus and Lemmy from Motorhead and various other people, men, things, and I'm just an enigma. As I said before, I was always that weird kid. Yeah, but I love Jason Bateman, and he's so amazing in Ozark. If you haven't watched it yet, which I'm sure you have, um, it is just a very dark, atmospheric show with excellent writing. Jason Bateman has directed multiple episodes of this show. I believe he produces it as well. So good job, Jason Bateman, because Ozark is fantastic. Another one, Young Wallander. Now this one just popped up recently. I really love this so far. We haven't finished it. We've been saving the episodes because it's only 6. And I love this one because I read all of Henning Mankel's books, the Kurt Wallander series. So if you're not familiar with that, it's sort of considered like Nordic noir detective. Kurt Wallander, the majority of the books are about him later in his career, but there was a book, I think it was called The Pyramid. Correct me if I'm wrong. But that kind of goes into more of their shorter stories of a young Kurt Wallander. So I think that this show is based off of some of those stories. I'm not sure because I haven't read The Pyramid in a really, really long time, but some of the episodes seem a little familiar. They've just been modernized. And it's Swedish, and it takes place in Sweden, but it is in English. So, those of you who don't like subtitles, it is in English, and it's really, really good. The actor that plays a young Kurt Wallander is very good. He really captures that essence, so to speak, of Kurt Wallander, who's just kind of, there's just something going on with him, and yeah. Anyway, so Young Wallander, excellent show. Another one is, and I'm kind of getting on a little bit of a Scandinavian kick, and I already told you why, but I just wanted to mention this one because I've been watching this since it was first released on Netflix, and it's called Rita. And Rita, right, is amazing. I love Rita. Rita is about a Danish school teacher, and she doesn't care about anything. She is just a tomboy. She tells it like it is. She's kind of rough around she's more than rough around the edges, right? She wears her plaid flannel like I am now. Yeah, you're going to see a lot of plaid going on with me because I have my whole closet, especially going into fall, is just plaid and flannel. So, but she wears her flannel, plaid, and she wears, jeans and her boots. And she chain smokes, and she's just, she's amazing. She's this just very strong, independent woman. And throughout the seasons, if you end up watching it, you'll see some of her backstory and why she is the way she is. But she is this like elementary school teacher, and it's just kind of funny, that juxtaposition where you have this woman who's just like, meh, whatever, and how she deals with the kids. And it's in a very endearing way. So Rita, I highly suggest, because she is one hot tamale. Let me tell you right now. And I mean, literally, she's beautiful. Beautiful. The actress that plays her, I think her name is Millie, I'm probably not saying it right, but Milla Dennison. She's gorgeous. So great show. Another one that we watch is Pose, which is the Ryan Murphy and the other guy, that one. That is American Horror Story, right? And Glee. or Behind Pose. That is a great show, you guys. Wow. I mean, I don't think that I've been able to get through quite a few of those episodes without crying. It tells, the story of transgender people in the 80s, especially during the AIDS, when AIDS was really becoming an epidemic. And it's so heart wrenching. The performances are amazing. And it really gives you some insight because, those of us who are old enough to remember when AIDS, became AIDS, basically, I don't know how else to say it. Everybody was very ignorant at that time about AIDS and that it was a gay disease and all of that. And, so much ignorance behind it, but this show really kind of peers in depth into what trans gay people were going through at that time and trying to live in a world where they were just accepted. So that's part of the story. But then the other part of the story is that they have these amazing houses, they call them. And they formed their own families because their families have rejected them because they are gay, transgender. And so they have formed their own houses, and it really goes into sort of the world of fashion. And it's just an amazing, brilliant show. And again, brilliant performers, brilliant actors and actresses on this show. And I would highly suggest that one. So Pose is really, really, really good. Another one is Away. That one just came out with Hilary Swank, Mission to Mars, and a lot of space drama. A lot of space drama. That's all I'm going to say. But it's really good, so check it out. Another one is Lucifer. We love Lucifer. It's campy, it's silly, but it's just one of those shows that kind of gets you because it's a detective story. What basically, if you were a detective and Lucifer, the devil, was your sidekick, and Tom Ellis, I think his name is the actor that plays Lucifer. He's just so dynamic and amazing. And I also love Lucifer just because Lucifer, the character, is part of the Sandman series. It's part of the Sandman and Neil Gaiman's whole world. So Neil Gaiman he doesn't guest star or anything like that on the show, but he does some narration in one of the episodes. So that's a great one too. Okay. What else? Oh, geez. This is going to be long. And you know what? I'm realizing that if I'm going to have to find and download and insert clips of all the different pictures of these shows, it's going to take me forever. So we'll see what happens with that. Oh, I'm sorry in advance if I don't, because I'm being lazy. Oh, another one too, Umbrella Academy. I'm not going to say much about that one because everybody loves Umbrella Academy, right? Like, it's just such a great show, right? That if you don't know of Umbrella Academy, it's a bunch of people, adults now with superpowers, and they were raised by this man that we're still kind of trying to figure out who he is, even in season 2. But check it out. It's really good. Stranger Things. Need I say more? Of course, right? Another one is The Sinner. The Sinner is on USA, I think, but it's on Netflix too. This is a great show. The first season is Jessica Biel was in the first season, and Bill Pullman, who I love. Bill Pullman. I think he's an underrated actor. He's just amazing. He's amazing in this show. And I think they kind of made it originally as a one-off, but they ended up making a second season, and I believe that there's a third season. So highly suggest it. Reckoning. Oh, Reckoning. That one. I don't know if you get this. Is like one of those Netflix ones that kind of just appeared, and there wasn't any like build up around it. It was just like there, and it came out last year, and I loved this one. This one was about a serial killer. And there's two, the two stories going on. So you have this serial killer, and then you have the detective who's trying to capture him. And he had committed some murders in the past, and this detective wasn't able to solve the case or catch him, and he's doing it again. This guy is killing all over again. So the detective has a lot of issues himself, right? Very complicated, very interesting story there. He has his own family, and the killer also has his own family, and he's a teacher, or a guidance counselor rather, in a school, and the detective's daughter goes to this school. So of course you have these, interlacing stories going on, and they merge, and the detective, meets him at one point, and who knows what happens. But it's one of those shows I binged because I just had to find out what happened at the end, and it was really, really good. And the guy from, if you watch True Blood, oh, I don't remember what his name was on True Blood, but he was he owned the Sam. I think it was Sam. He owned the bar, right? And he was a shapeshifter. Yeah, that guy. I forget the actor's name, but he plays the serial killer in this show. So, Reckoning, very, very good. Okay. Yeah, so that's it for today, you guys. Again, comment down below. Let me know what I should be watching, what you think I should be watching, what you think I would like. I would appreciate that a great deal if you did that. And I hope I wasn't as cranky and crotchety as I was the other day. My allergies are better, thank you. And I'll see you the next time. Have a good one.